once again, we ask that you please take your seats. The program is about to begin. And now, please direct your attention to the stage and welcome anchor, reporter for Bloomberg Television, and our MC for this afternoon, Scarlett Fu.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to Legal Momentum's Aiming High Awards Luncheon 2024. This is our 23rd year, believe it or not, and it is a huge privilege for me to serve as your MC once again. This afternoon, we are thrilled to celebrate 4 remarkable women, including the Legal Momentum Lifetime Champion honoree. We will also honor a man of distinction as well. But first, of course, our gratitude to all of you for joining Legal Momentum at this luncheon, for recognizing and supporting the critical work the organization does on behalf of women and girls around the country. We've made tremendous progress, but we still have a long way to go. As you know, the country faces profound setbacks to women's rights, which has taken some steps backwards with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, the massive pay gap that persists, especially for women of color, and the increase of domestic violence during the pandemic. And because of all of you, our friends and supporters, Legal Momentum can continue its imperative and its impactful work. I'm excited to meet our honorees and hear their stories, and I hope you are as well. First, I'd like to call up Legal Momentum's leader, President, and CEO, Carol Baldwin Moody.
Thank you. Well, welcome everybody. This is the first time we've done this in the winter, and I was worried. I was worried about the weather, but thank you all for coming. When I thought about what I was going to say, being in the corporate world for a long time, I said, well, what were my goals? What were my goals for 2023? And they're published, so you can check it out. And I'll tell you what I said we were going to do in 2023. We said we were going to protect reproductive freedom. And if you've been following the news, we've been in the news a lot about the performing of non-consensual drug tests of pregnant women. A lot of news coverage about it. As usual, something that people didn't pick up on, but that's what we do at Legal Momentum. That's what we do. We find a gap. And it's not just that it's, one more step in governmental intrusion into the lives and bodily autonomy of women, but what you don't realize, as we feared, the effect it's having on maternal mortality. Didn't think about that. Didn't think about that. People are afraid now to go to the doctor, particularly women of color. We got a call from our helpline just last week where a Native woman said, I got drug tested, and then when they called me back for my second, prenatal, I didn't go. I didn't go. I moved to another state. I moved to another state because I'm afraid. We're working on that. We now have 3 cases that we are taking to litigation. And of course, advancing economic security for the most vulnerable women. You heard Scarlett talk about it. If you've seen anything, if you were watching the video go by, you saw Sahara from our team being interviewed by CBS News because, of course, we helped write and help pass both the New York City and New York State paid transparency laws. We've been busy. And then, of course, that's right. What can I say? What can I say? And of course, we continue to enhance protections for survivors in the workplace. Scarlett talked about the fact that sadly, during the pandemic, and it hasn't really decreased, domestic violence is still a big problem in this country, well, in the world. And then, of course, fighting for access to education. I don't know how long we've been fighting to get some better rules for Title IX. I don't know. We just keep fighting, we just keep fighting, we just keep fighting. Nothing to say about that. And then, of course, our Rights Now program, which are empowering youth leaders. We'll talk more about Rights Now later on. So, how did we do? We did a lot. We did a lot. And then we also have our North Star. This is our strategic North Star, which, North Star, that we want to be the first call for any issues that are in our pillar. Well, guess what? Be careful what you wish for. We are at capacity right now. We turned down more cases. We had to actually close our helpline for the first time in 30 years for 4 months. We cannot keep up with it. We have some strategic plans to deal with the long-term funding, but today, I point out to you that that's why I really need to thank you, because we would not have been able to do all of that without you. So I want to thank our Grand Justice Underwriter, Baker Botts, our Grand Underwriters, MasterCard, I see you over there, Paul Weiss, Sullivan and Cromwell, White and Case, our underwriters, Latham and Watkins, Simpson, Thatcher and Bartlett, Televisa Univision, Vincent and Elkins, yeah, the list is long, Benefactors, Aiken Gump Strauss, Apollo Global Management, Citi, Fried Frank Harris, Ulrich Harrington, Sidley Austin, Wild Gottschall, and our patrons, B&Y Mellon, Holland and Knight, Mirhares Agoita, and Wilson Socini. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're going to hear a lot of thank yous from me today, because it's really important. I also, and there's in your book, I have to thank our pro bono partners. How big a team do you think we had to do all that work? 12, that's it. Our whole team, that's legal, admin, 12 people to get all that work done. But we wouldn't get it done without our pro bono partners. They're in there. Our pro bono partners donated over $2.8 million to us last fiscal year. So I have to thank them. Thank you so much. And of course, I have to thank our staff. Hey staff, yay, I'm sitting over there. And I have to thank Karen Kaplowitz. Karen's sitting here. You may know, this is our 23rd, you saw it, right? Our 23rd. Well, Karen started it. And then she pretended a couple years ago that she was gonna stop helping us. She pretended, but she failed at that. So thank you, Karen, for pretending that you retired, but not really. And last but not least, I want to thank our honorees, Jolen, Whitney, Pilar, Tim, and Muriel. So thank you. And I think, what am I supposed to do next? I think I'm supposed to be introducing Lynn Shaffron, who's going to present the Lifetime Achievement Award to Muriel Fox, a co-founder of Legal Momentum. And Lynn, of course, is the founder of the National Judicial Education Program. So Lynn is going to give her remarks from the table and not come up, so you can turn your attention to Lynn, who's sitting there. Thank you.
So, good afternoon, everybody. If anyone is curious as to why I'm sitting down here and Muriel is up there, I hurt my leg and I can't stand up for more than 10 seconds. So they allowed me 3 minutes to talk about what Muriel has achieved, and if I can manage that, it will be a miracle. When I was told that Muriel had requested that I be the Legal Momentum staff member who confers this award on her, I was simultaneously honored and panicked. I was honored because I and my family have been Muriel Fox fans for decades. Now I'm going to turn my back on you and see what they got. No, the picture that that I thought was, oh, you're up. Okay, they're up. Okay, so that's a picture of Muriel leading the 1978 ERA March in Washington. So my husband and I are in row 2, but right at the front of the parade, holding Muriel's hand, is our then 4-year-old daughter, Brooke. And I was looking at the graphics that were up before about the power of women, and I was thinking, this is a really great picture, not just because it's a picture of Brooke, but it looks like a young girl really confidently striding into the future. So now I said I was also panicked, and I was panicked because Crystal said I had to do this in 3 minutes. And I thought, how in the world am I going to chronicle everything that Muriel is now 96 years old, and she has been an activist, I think, from the day she was born. However, I then realized, well, I don't have to worry about getting it all in 3 minutes, because in June, you will be able to read all about it. Muriel has about to publish it's a combination memoir and history of the modern women's movement. So I'll say more about that in a moment. Muriel is a brilliant visionary and an inspiring leader. She, in her early life, I said that she was an activist from the day she was born. When, in 1950, she wanted to work at Carl Bayer, which was the largest and leading public relations firm in the country. She applied, she had fantastic credentials, and the response was from some executive vice president, quote unquote, "We don't hire women writers." So of course Muriel persevered, and within a short time she was the youngest vice president at the firm. And ultimately she was recognized by Business Week as the leading woman in public relations in America. Now Muriel is acutely aware of the barriers to women's advancement in every single field. And in 1966, she worked with Betty Friedan to form NOW, the National Organization for Women. I stress the 4 because NOW welcomes women and men. I am so happy to see the men types here today. Well, I mean, there's a belief that NOW is, only has female members. And this actually came up in a Supreme Court case, and we had our oar in that water. And as we're listening, and the head of, the National Club Association is saying NOW doesn't admit men, one of the justices said, well, no, wait a minute. Give me that brief from NOW Legal Defense and Education Fund, which was our original name. And, my colleague and I, we were like on seventh heaven to have the justice cite our brief in the middle of argument. But we do welcome men. So Muriel has been involved in the founding of NOW Legal Defense and Education Fund. That's Legal Momentum today. The Women's Forum, most recently Veteran Feminists of America. Obviously, she's been a guiding light for us at Legal Momentum literally since 1970. She co-founded us, she was a vice president, she was president, she's now an honorary board member, and really always interested in giving us good sound advice, never taking a couple of years to be on the board and then moving on. Now, I said that Muriel has this book coming out, and I am waving the galleys so you know it's real. And there will be a picture up there soon, which will be, that will be the cover of this book. And I just love this title, The Women's Revolution, How We Changed Your Life. Because, as Muriel always says, This has been very good for men and women, adults and children, and I think often people don't realize the breadth of what Muriel has championed and achieved. Now, at your tables, there is a red voucher, and there are enough of them for everyone, and you will be able to send that in and receive a discount on this book, 20% off. And Muriel will tell you how to get the book and get the discount. And I, for one, I am really waiting with deep interest to get this book, because every single word comes from Muriel's unbelievable files. This is really first-person history. So Muriel, I know I have my back to you, and I apologize for that, but I want to say, Muriel, with literally unbounded admiration, I am honored and delighted to present Legal Momentum's Champion Award to you. Thank you.
Bless you, Lynn, and thank you so much. Oh, wow. Look at this. You gonna take a picture? Miss Lovely? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lynn. I'm deeply moved by this beautiful honor from Legal Momentum, the organization that Betty Friedan and I founded here in New York in 1970. I do feel that you're all my babies. I'm overjoyed at the important work that Legal Momentum is still doing to win equal opportunity, justice, and safety for women and girls. And I'm especially pleased to receive this tribute from my friend Lynn Shaffron, because the National Judicial Education Program, which Lynn heads, has been a truly important factor in ensuring that our courts operate fairly and effectively when they rule on issues that affect women and girls. You know, we didn't envision this program as early as 1970, but it took us 10 years to make NJEP a reality. At the beginning, experts said we could never persuade judges to self-scrutinize their own gender biases, but NJEP eventually won broad acceptance because its programs were so scrupulously designed and fair-minded. And today we are thanked sincerely by judges and attorneys and other professionals in the judicial system for teaching them what they need to know about women's issues and gender bias in the courts. Now, please forgive me if I sound boastful, but I'm so proud of Legal Momentum's accomplishments through the past 50 years. Where do I begin in describing them? Back in 1973, when Title IX was passed for equal opportunity in education, the U.S. government agency charged with enforcing it, the Office of Health, Education, and Welfare, dragged its heels in making sure that schools would follow through. And I give great credit to an organization within Legal Momentum called PEER, the Project on Equal Education Rights, for forcing the government to enforce Title IX. PEER led the way in mobilizing school boards, educators, parents, and hundreds of influential organizations to force HEW to do its job. And I salute Holly Knox, who headed PEER for Legal Momentum, as one of 30 heroes whom history should not forget. And this is in my new book, which is coming out on June 18, and I greatly appreciate you showing a picture of it, and I'm happy to offer everybody here a discount. And my book also salutes Bernice Sandler of WHEEL, the Women's Equity League, for getting Title IX enforced in colleges, while PEER won our rights in elementary schools and high schools. My book, of course, pays tribute to all the great progress that was won by Legal Momentum. And while I'm reminiscing about all that Legal Momentum has accomplished, I'm thrilled to brag about the Violence Against Women Act, still known as VAWA. We played a major role in getting VAWA passed in 1994 and getting it reauthorized by Congress again and again. Legal Momentum organized the powerful coalition called the National Task Force to End Sexual and Domestic Violence, which is still a powerhouse in advancing the cause of VAWA. In the old days, VAWA was a bipartisan bill of both political parties, but in recent years, most Republicans have opposed it, and we rely mainly on Democrats in Congress to get VAWA reauthorized. And I can't resist telling you that VAWA was the brainchild of a United States Senator named Joseph F. Biden. Yes, our current President Biden. It was his idea. Joe Biden's campaign literature is telling the truth when it credits him with declaring one day in 1990, quote, "Let's pass a bill that deals with domestic violence, especially marital rape, and has a civil cause of action," unquote. Biden first introduced VAWA in Congress on June 20, 1990, and his staff conferred with Legal Momentum, which helped him improve the bill and then organize the National Task Force. And it took us 4 years to get VAWA passed. VAWA changed how our entire criminal justice system has treated violence against women. It provides billions of dollars for protection and aid. And for the first time, police are trained, in fact required, to treat domestic violence as a crime instead of looking the other way. It helped launch a large network of family shelters that continues to expand through the years. These shelters make it possible for battered women to flee with their children from dangerous situations. Battered women often face the question, why can't she leave him? Well, VAWA gives them a hopeful answer. As many of you know, Legal Momentum was originally called the now Legal Defense and Education Fund, and you'll see it described that way mainly in my book. I still wear a t-shirt with the name, Now Legal Defense and Education Fund. On the front, it shows a yellow hard hat and the slogan, Women Rebuild New York. And on the back of the t-shirt, the same hard hat with the slogan, Women Rebuild America. Since 9/11 destroyed so many buildings, we have been leaders in the ongoing campaign to get women employed in construction trades and other non-traditional jobs. That goes for our continuing work to get women employed as police officers and firefighters, and women still thank Legal Momentum for that. I could go on and on. One of the great feminist leaders, Heather Booth, recently read a galley of my book, and she said, tears fill my eyes. Well, tears fill my eyes when I recall the great struggles we've all waged together to change the world. And I want to thank all of you for your support and for helping to make this work possible. And on a personal note, I'm happy to introduce my niece, Caroline Fox, who is an attorney for IBM. Her father was my beloved brother, Jerry Fox, who was a VP of New York Now and was our attorney when we were pressuring the New York Times to desexagregate its ads saying help wanted male and help wanted female. You know, so many young people can't believe that that ever happened, that the ads could possibly have done. And needless to say, all the good jobs were under help wanted male. And those of us who were ambitious, that's where we had to look. But we're counting on people like Caroline and all of you in this room for continuing our hard work, and I thank every one of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Muriel. Thank you so much. And of course, this luncheon, as Muriel was talking about, is all about being boastful about legal momentum. So in return, we hope you'll be generous as well. I want to now introduce Stephanie Drescher. Stephanie is Chief Client and Product Development Officer of Apollo Global Management. Stephanie will present the Aiming High Award to Honoree Whitney Chatterjee, General Counsel of Apollo.
Thank you, and I am thrilled to be back with you again this year, along with John Sudam and my colleagues from Apollo. Today, we gather not only to celebrate the remarkable achievements of our honorees, but the collective efforts of and the unwavering dedication of Legal Momentum. Your work has propelled gender justice to new heights, and I want to thank you. Now, it's truly my honor to introduce my colleague and friend, Whitney Chatterjee, Apollo's first female chief legal officer. Prior to joining Apollo in 2023, Whitney spent over 20 years at Sullivan and Cromwell. While there, she climbed the ranks to partner and built and led the investment management practice. Pretty cool. I recall when Whitney first joined Apollo. In a matter of days, I was in her office, because I wanted to be, not because I was in trouble. And I had heard so many great things about her distinguished career as a lawyer, and importantly, about her character. I was eager not only to welcome her, but to offer her my support. I knew after 20 years of being at Apollo that there was a bit of a hill to climb. The breadth of strategies, legal entities, tax considerations, and some personalities would need to get navigated. What became apparent very quickly, however, was that Whitney needed little help. She integrated with remarkable ease into our senior leadership team. She gained the trust of partners and her compliance, tax, and compliance colleagues with sharp legal judgment, leadership skills, and a collaborative approach. She's often described as smart, thoughtful, and an amazing addition to the Apollo culture. I personally consider myself fortunate because I get to work with Whitney in a number of ways, including on Apollo's Women's Empowerment Initiative. There, we design our programming to attract, retain, and promote female professionals throughout our organization. Like Legal Momentum, Whitney has served as a trailblazer in advocating for the rights of women and girls and stands at the forefront of driving positive change. Her style has helped advance workplace norms and open countless doors for women, creating a ripple effect that go far beyond any individual achievement. It's inspiring to celebrate a woman with these qualities, and I personally look forward to working in partnership with Whitney for many years to come. Here's to aiming high and to the remarkable individuals like Whitney who continue to lead the way. Whitney?
Thank you for those kind words, Steph. I have to mention how meaningful it was to me that in my first days at Apollo, you took the time out of your busy schedule, and I've come to learn how truly busy that schedule is, to come up unprompted to my office. It's the kind of gesture of support and solidarity that is indicative of how you have led women, not just at Apollo, but throughout the financial services industry during your impressive career. And as a former award recipient, it's an honor to me to be a part of the club that you're in. Your role in expanding opportunities for women has been critical, and I'm very excited about all that we will accomplish together as partners in the future. It's a genuine privilege to be in the company of my fellow award recipients today. Any road that Muriel has paved, I think we should all go down it as quickly as we possibly can. I wish you my congratulations, and note that each recipient exemplifies the spirit of aiming high, setting ambitious goals, overcoming obstacles, breaking down those obstacles for others, and leaving an indelible mark on the path toward a more equitable world for women. How? I think that's different for every person receiving this award and for every woman in general. But I think we can all recognize that the power of sharing these experiences and elevating each other through sharing our own experiences as we are today helps to give back and helps to support the incredible work of Legal Momentum and its mission to secure economic and personal security for women. I tried to come up with a big moment to share with you today about my career path, something to wow and inspire you, or at least to make you laugh. But I think I have to lean on my fellow award recipients for something with that level of sparkle, because my own path has really been paved by a series of small moments, like the one I described earlier with Stephanie, just deciding to come to my office when I joined Apollo. Or the annual women's breakfast at Sullivan and Cromwell, where the partners and the incoming first-year associates go around the room and share a little piece of advice about their own experiences. It's these little things along the way that have fueled and inspired me, and over time have led to incredible opportunities. These small moments have also built resilience to power through times and experiences that have been less welcoming. So it's really quite humbling to stand in front of all of you, and I want to express my sincerest thanks to the many in this room and to the many firms who have so generously stepped up today to support Legal Momentum's truly meaningful mission. I want to thank my husband as well, who's been an amazing partner to me, providing unfailing support and lots of laughs. Becoming CLO at Apollo is an amazing opportunity and one that has been incredibly rewarding already. But I also appreciate the awesomeness of that responsibility, not just on a day-to-day basis, but outside of the firm to support and mentor women and create opportunities for success within and outside of Apollo. And I don't take it all for granted the platform that I've been given as a woman in the legal and financial services profession, and I'm glad today that I've been able to play a small role in helping Legal Momentum and the many women it supports. I look forward to continuing to engage in these efforts.
Whitney, thank you for that reminder that a lifetime achievement is made up of many small moments accumulated over time. Next up on stage is Eileen Simon, General Auditor for MasterCard and Chair of the Legal Momentum Board of Directors. Eileen will present the Man of Distinction Award to Tim Murphy, Chief Administrative Officer of MasterCard.
Thank you, Scarlett. I'm so proud to chair the board of this tremendous organization. Legal Momentum's work is absolutely mission critical. We've heard today how much women's rights are under assault from so many angles. So on behalf of the board, I want to thank you all for being here today. Your presence and this incredible turnout powers and supports Legal Momentum's work and the commitment of the honorees, all of whom deserve recognition. I'm especially honored to be introducing our next honoree, Tim Murphy. Tim is being recognized as a man of distinction. He has been a driving force behind MasterCard's support of Legal Momentum, and for that, we are indelibly grateful. I've known Tim for more than 20 years as we've worked together at MasterCard. He has been at different times my peer, my manager, my mentor, and above all else, Tim has been a friend. He delivers messages, whether they're welcome or occasionally unwelcome, with unbelievable clarity and sensitivity. Tim has exceptional intellect and communication skills, coupled with a fantastic sense of humor. He embodies and exemplifies what we at MasterCard call the MasterCard way. Not surprisingly, Tim wears many hats and sits at many tables. In his work as MasterCard's Chief Administrative Officer, his chairmanship of the National Urban League Board, his board service to Northwestern Mutual, and his commitment to his lovely wife, Mandy, and his daughters, Marion and Robin, Tim brings insight, perspective, and indeed distinction to every table he sits at. And every table Tim sits at is impeccably neat and organized. That's a little side note about Tim. I came prepared so I don't leave fingerprints. So with that, please join me in congratulating Tim on this well-deserved honor.
Well, now that's a real friend, someone who wears gloves, because she knows I don't like smudges. It's amazing. So Eileen, thank you for that incredibly generous introduction, and really on behalf of MasterCard and all my colleagues here today, thank you for your leadership of Legal Momentum and its critical mission and helping to keep our two organizations close. I also really want to honor my fellow honorees today, the legendary Muriel Fox and her extraordinary generational leadership, but also Whitney and Pilar and Jolen. I want to particularly call out my friend and our friend at MasterCard, Pilar Ramos, who's making us so proud as the General Counsel of Univision, leading new ways from payments into media. So I hold deep gratitude for this afternoon's honor. It is really gracious for Legal Momentum to recognize allyship in this way. And I think it reflects this deep understanding that at the end of the day, we make the greatest progress when we work together. And in a moment of gratitude, I do want to reflect a bit on the topic of time, and I will be brief, because I've been blessed to have the very good fortune to spend a lot of time over my life with very great women. You've heard Eileen talk about my wonderful wife and my daughters. I'm so proud of them. But also an amazing set of colleagues across MasterCard over a 25-year career. First and foremost, Eileen Simon, but so many others here today. And I find myself very much the humble recipient of the gift of time with these women. They've shaped who I am, they've challenged, they've continued to evolve my worldview in really important ways. And for that, I am truly grateful. But we also have to recognize, and I think the people in this room do today, that time does not always feel like a gift. And when we think about how long it's taken to get us where we are, which is a moment when true equality for women in the boardroom, in the office, in schools, and in the courts, is still a goal and is not fully achieved, then you have to recognize that time, well, can feel exhausting. And that's why Legal Momentum is so critical. The mission of this organization has never been more important, a driving force behind monumental changes in American society. And Muriel mentioned it earlier, it is impossible for my daughters to understand the legal situation that she and her generation face. It's anarchic and it's extraordinary, and the change has been positive because now my daughters are enrolling in and graduating from college classes that on average have more women than men, and they're working at companies where pay is more transparent than it's ever been so they can make informed decisions. That's encouraging, but there's so many circumstances where change has been too slow, and some things regress right in front of our eyes. And so the urgency of the moment and the mission of Legal Momentum has never been more important. And in this way, I think every long hour, every long day, and every long week that we spend working towards equality is not lost time. It's an investment in a better future for everybody. And that's really what we try to do at MasterCard. The time we spend on inclusion, ensuring that anyone of any gender, indeed anyone of any category, can bring their best selves to the work, that's investment in our future success, and that's time very well spent. So I want to thank Eileen, and I want to thank the Legal Momentum team. It is an extraordinary honor to be with you. It is truly an honor to be this man of distinction. Thank you very much, and have a great afternoon.
Congratulations to Tim. I want to bring back Carol Baldwin-Moody. She has more to say, so let's welcome her back on stage.
Well, I talked about a lot of stuff we've done. I mean, I think we led 2 amicus briefs. We joined like 12, but we get asked to do this all the time, but we don't have time to do them all. I mean, it's no small undertaking, those of you who know about amicus briefs. But what I want to talk about is something I talk about every single year, which is our Rights Now program. Our Rights Now program, in its 7th year, is we take young girls between the ages of 16 and 22, and we teach them about their rights, how to avoid discrimination, how to do they go through Title IX? Yes, they do. And we teach them, and we've trained probably over 50 of them in the last 7 years, and then they go out and train their peers. Listen, nobody wants to hear from me. You know, they finally convinced me that they should be able to be on TikTok. Oh, God, Lord. Anyway, but I'm going to bring Talese up, who was a peer educator, Lilith, who's in the book. They were supposed to be here, but at the last minute, their class schedule got changed. And they told me that you can only miss 2 classes in a semester, and they didn't want to take a chance. So I said, that's okay, Lilith, but I'm just going to read an email that Lilith sent to me a week before the program ended last year. The program is 9 months. The first 4 months, we just drill, and then they help us redo the curriculum, and then they go out and teach their peers. I learned more stuff from them. You know, that's when I learned about gaslighting. It just you know, anyway, but this is what Lilith wrote to me in the email, and I have their permission to read it. And Lilith said, joining Rights Now drastically changed the trajectory of my life. I think if I hadn't applied, I would have still been missing out on that sense of community, or I wouldn't have gone back to school. I think you're all inspiring. I love to do work that matters as much as what you guys do. All that being said, I'd love to do another year with Rights Now. Well, now Lilith knew that the program was over. And I said, oh goodness, I gotta find a way. And I said, I'll find a way. The good news is, it's only $4,000 for funds an entire year for a Rights Now peer educator. I said, Carol, if you can't find $4,000, you should just step down. So I promised her that job before I could find the $4,000, but I did. So I just want to say, Lilith sends their regards. Talese, come on up. Talese graduated from the peer educator program. Her bio is in the book, and I'll let Talese speak.
Hello, everyone. My name is Talese Brown. I'm a Legal Momentum Rights Now peer educator alum from 2021 to 2022. During my time at Legal Momentum, I learned so much about myself as a young Black woman in this country, and that there are so many unknown resources that can help support me. And how there are also many laws and rights that have been taken away from women, like Roe v. Wade. While I was in high school, several sexual harassment complaints have been shared with me by many of my friends and my classmates. And because of the knowledge I acquired through various Rights Now workshops, I was able to inform these individuals of the information they needed and how to locate their Title IX coordinator. And I am grateful for Rights Now and thankful for the information that I received because I was able to share with them that they don't have to fight these battles alone. And so, in honor of all those who have unfortunately been victims of harassment, discrimination, and violence, here's a selection to remind them that when they refuse to listen, you must make them hear you.
Go out and tell our story, let it echo far and wide, make them hear you, make them hear you. How justice was our battle and how justice was denied, make them hear you, make them hear you. And say to those who blame us for the way we chose to fight, that sometimes there are battles which are more than black or white. And I could not put my sword down when justice was my right. Make them hear you, make them hear you. Go out and tell the story to your daughters and your sons. Make them hear you, make them hear you. And tell them in our struggle we were not the only ones. Make them hear you, make them hear you. And your sword can be a sermon or the power of the pen. Teach every child to raise his voice. Then, my sisters, then will justice be demanded by 10 million righteous men. Make them hear you. When they hear you, I'll be near you again.
Stay up there. Crystal, we should have had one of those up there for Talese. We'll think about that next year. We'll think about that next year. Listen, we're not going to take an intermission because we have so much. We want to make sure people get out on time. And normally during an intermission, you can get up and walk around, but we never get back on time, so we're not having an intermission. I do want to let you know, at your table, of course, have to say it, there are envelopes. We got a lot today, but we're always needing to add to the support of our programs. So I think there's also a text act where you can text your support today. As I said, you know, a little goes a long way. A mean, tight, efficient 12-person machine, but we need the help. So there are envelopes at your table, and there's, does it say text or something up there? Yes, it's up there. Okay, there you go. You know, technology. I don't even think anybody has a checkbook or anything anymore. I don't know. So we're going to continue on with the program. Yes, Scarlett? Yeah. Okay, then come on up. We're continuing on with the program. No intermission. You can, I mean, if you have to go, you can go, but otherwise, no intermission.
No intermission, we're barreling on here. It is my pleasure now to introduce our next presenter, Valerie Redwainer. She is Deputy Chair of Paul, Weiss, Rifkind, Wharton, and Garrison. Valerie, if you've been to these awards luncheons, is no stranger. She's a familiar face and has played a key role in Legal Momentum's success over the years. She will present the award to Pilar Ramos, Executive Vice President, General Counsel, and Corporate Secretary of Univision.
Thanks, everyone. It's wonderful to see you all and to be back up on this stage. It is my true privilege to introduce my good friend, Pilar Ramos, General Counsel of Televisa Univision. But first, let me acknowledge Whitney, Tim, and Jolen for their awesome accomplishments, and Muriel Fox. I don't know where Muriel is sitting, but Muriel, wow. All I can say is wow, and thank you for paving the way for all of us. I'm so proud of Paul Weiss's longstanding commitment to Legal Momentum's critically important mission and advocacy efforts. As we all know, today, our collective support has never been needed more. Now, on to Pilar. I first met Pilar several years ago as a Paul Weiss client. We developed a strong connection which blossomed quickly into mutual admiration and recognition of shared values. Her commitment to gender equality, her passion, and her infectious enthusiasm helped forge what would become a long-standing professional and personal relationship. While blazing a fulfilling, successful career, Pilar has leveraged her accomplishments to empower women and advance gender equality and justice. She is a role model, a mentor, and an ally for so many women and diverse attorneys. She encourages them to dig down deep, develop their talents, and of course, to always aim high. Pilar does all of this while reminding us of the importance of giving back, of being generous, and of having fun along the way. As a member of the Council of Foreign Relations, the Board of Latino Justice, the Leadership Council on Legal Diversity, I could go on, but I'll stop there, and so many other organizations, they're all in the book, Pilar gives it her all every day. She is a champion for diverse leadership in the legal community. She inspires, she creates opportunities, and she truly fosters a sense of belonging. As a child of Honduran and Puerto Rican immigrants, Pilar recognized early on the power of the law to drive change and to promote equal rights and opportunity. Pilar leverages the power of business and the law to build a fairer, more diverse world for all of us. Her work helped MasterCard, where she previously served as General Counsel North America, become a leader for promoting and applauding inclusive behavior. She drives these very same initiatives and much more at Televisa Univision, while ensuring every day that her teams recognize the importance of accountability to one another. Pilar's personal journey truly mirrors Legal Momentum's fight for equality. In fact, in 2018, Legal Momentum recognized Pilar by selecting her as a recipient of its Aiming High Award. Unfortunately, personal circumstances prevented her from joining that day. I am thrilled that Pilar will now have the opportunity to share her story and her journey with all of us. Pilar.
Oh my goodness. Okay, first things first, let's all be thankful that Talese took care of the singing part of the program. It was beautiful and meaningful. Thank you, Valerie, for thinking of me again for a second time for this award, and to the board of Legal Momentum, to its chair, a longtime friend and former colleague, although we're still colleagues in the profession, Eileen. And Tim, thank you for the kind words. I'm seeing a whole bunch of former MasterCard friends. I'm like, oh. And I have like an amazing powerhouse women rock star table here at Televisa Univision. So thank you. And thanks to everyone here, because this is all about, it's really not about us. It's about the work and the organization, and Muriel, a total pioneer. And I have to say, I think I have your exact same outfit from that book when you led the ERA march. So a pioneer in fashion as well. And don't ever apologize for all your major accomplishments. Well, Valerie mentioned that I hadn't been able to be here. So let me tell you about that, because it has a lot to do, I think, with why we're all here in this sort of marriage of passion and purpose that Muriel found and sort of proselytized. And we're all the beneficiaries of that incredible legacy. So in the lead up to the event 4 years ago, in 2019, I'll never forget the date of it, my mother fell very, very ill, very, very suddenly, and was deteriorating very, very rapidly. So it was very, very clear to me that I was not going to be here. And I remember reading my remarks to her. I'm glad I was able to do that. And it was a lot about, you know, it was an homage to her and my parents. And I couldn't have known, but the very next day after the event, my mom passed. And my friends, my dear friends at MasterCard, these amazing power women colleagues that Tim referenced, had come to this event and stood next to this picture of me, and I still have that photo. I framed it, and because it is so uplifting. If you ever have a crisis of confidence, it's things like that, and I've had my fair share. And who got me through them? So why am I telling you about my parents? That was a big moment in life. I'm telling you about my parents because they figured out this marriage. Well, they figured out their marriage, because they were married for 53 years, so they did something right there. But they figured out this marriage of passion and purpose. They really, truly lived a life of service. I mean, you're talking about, as Valerie said, a Puerto Rican and Honduran. They met in the Bronx in the early 60s, inspired by the Civil Rights Movement. They're like, yes, we're going to move our 2 daughters down to the Deep South and raise them in New Orleans, Louisiana. So when I first moved to the Northeast, I had this really awkward Southern/New Orleans accent, which I've since lost. In any case, they figured that out, and that is deeply instilled in me, that whatever I did every day over the course of time, over the arc of my personal and professional life, I was going to do things that were meaningful to me, but that were uplifting of others. Because there really aren't a lot of things that make you feel as good as helping someone else from a purely selfless place. It's not about ego. It's not about how's it going to help me or how's it going to make my life better. It's just this ultimate act of generosity. So, you know, why did I pursue the law? I think in part having been surrounded by a very large traditional Latin Catholic family on both sides and witnessing, you know, some small and some not so small indignities because people had an accent or whatever. And I really wanted to know and be informed, as Valerie said, about the power of the law, about their individual rights, and also mine. And so I get the work, and I think it was just so genius to found an LDF that is dedicated to the cause of women. When I think about my parents, I think, you know, in this ring of life that is sometimes like more like a circus ring, and it's fun, or it's chaotic, but other times it's a bit more like a boxing ring, and, you know, it's all about grit and resilience and fight sometimes. You need somebody in your corner, and there always is somebody in your corner, and that was my parents for me. So it's a really interesting question. Who am I in the corner? Whose corner am I in? Whose corner are you in? What are you doing every day to wake up and be in someone's corner? So I find myself now, as Tim said, at Televisa Univision. Okay, Televisa Univision is the product of a merger of Univision, which, you know, I'm sorry, but if you're Hispanic in America, you grew up watching us. Okay, it just is so. And Televisa, which is this amazing content sort of machinery that really was the engine that fed, you know, all the stuff that I grew up watching, my beloved telenovelas and other things. So when I wake up every day now here, and I'm in my, which is incredible, in third year, it's about being in full service of 600 million people who are the Spanish-speaking world. And that's a lot of people. And if you take that to the US, you're talking about 20% of the population. I mean, if our respective networks were representative of the broader population, you're talking about it's every fifth person that you know. This is an incredible economic engine in terms of productivity, consumerism, I mean, consumption, and I think, as we'll see in this election, also a really critical swing vote. Not monolithic in any way, as my own family is a demonstration of, and not to be taken for granted. And we like to be spoken to in our own language, which is why we exist. So it's clear to me whose corner I'm in and whose corner the company is in, and I've been able to bring together an incredible team, truly gifted, truly diverse, to be in service of this mission, to inform, to entertain, to empower, you know, Hispanic America and the rest of the Spanish-speaking world. And that's when I think about Legal Momentum, you are in the proverbial corner of like half of the population. And as Tim said, you know, more of us are going to college, more of us are graduating to college, more of us are starting in the legal profession. So what do we need to do to get us there at the highest levels? My focus in terms of the legal profession has been in creating and pushing and pulling people to change the face of leadership in the legal profession. Because, you know, when we really put our mind to it, we've solved some of society's biggest problems. Muriel is a great example of that. So we haven't fixed this because it hasn't been a priority. So it's my priority. I really enjoy, it's probably the thing in my career that has given me the most joy. And it's just true joy to be here in celebration, you know, of all the important work that we've already been the beneficiaries of and that is still to come. Great things, onward and upward. Thank you, and let's keep aiming high.
Thank you, Pilar. Coming now to the stage to present the final award to Jolen Anderson is Rabia Sheikh, Senior Vice President, Global Risk and Regulatory Affairs for Visa.
Thank you, Scarlett. It is such a pleasure to be here today. Today, I'm excited to honor a woman who is a driving force in her field and a leader who has shown unwavering commitment to diversity and inclusion, Jolen Anderson. Our dear friend and colleague, Kelly Tullier, Visa's Vice Chair, Chief People and Corporate Affairs Officer, and a previous Aiming High Award winner herself, nominated Jolen for this award. Kelly unfortunately could not be here today, but asked me to share a few thoughts. Kelly is a huge Jolen fan and believes that Jolen is exactly the kind of professional who is deserving of this special award. Jolen's an amazing leader and has driven significant impact in every role that she has had, whether as a lawyer, a chief diversity officer, or a leader of HR. Jolen is incredibly smart, very driven, achieves great results, yet she is also a consummate people person, someone everyone wants to be around and learn from. She is one of those unique leaders who aims high pushes hard for great results, but she does so with grace and empathy, a recipe that brings the best in everyone around her. When I asked Kelly to reflect on Jolen, she said, "I feel fortunate that I had the pleasure of working with and partnering with Jolen for many years at Visa. We did so many great things together. We had so many laughs along the way. And while we are no longer work colleagues, we are friends, and we always will be." Jolen's career is a testament to her ability to lead with vision and purpose. Prior to her most recent role as Chief People Officer at BNY Mellon, Jolen dedicated almost 14 years of her career to Visa. At Visa, Jolen began her career in the legal department, notably holding the title of Chief Counsel for Employment and Corporate Responsibility, and later made history by also becoming Visa's first Chief Diversity Officer. And that is when Kelly met Jolen. And in Kelly's words, that is a moment that she will never forget. It happened on a stage in San Francisco in 2014, when Jolen made clear just how important D&I was to the success of our business. And as Kelly describes it, Jolen was pure magic, and Kelly could not wait to work side by side with her. Julie Rotenberg, our Executive Vice President and General Counsel at Visa, also wanted to share a few words to honor Jolen. Julie said, "Having had the privilege to work with Jolen over the years, I've constantly been impressed by her intelligence and practical approach to the law. But what truly sets Jolen apart is her extraordinary empathetic leadership. It's this combination of qualities that makes Jolen an exemplary candidate for the Aiming High Award." Jolen's commitment to diversity and inclusion has earned her recognition as Working Mother of the Year by Working Mother magazine, Women Who Are Changing the Face of Finance by Forbes magazine, Most Influential Women in Business by the San Francisco Business Times, Top Diversity Executive by Black Enterprise, and Standout HR Professional by American Banker, among others. But today we are here to add another accolade to this impressive list as we present her with the Aiming High Award from Legal Momentum. As others before me have acknowledged this afternoon, Legal Momentum has been a beacon of hope and a pillar of strength for women and girls in the U.S. for so many years. It has honored over 100 powerful and successful business leaders since 2001. Jolen, by accepting this award, you join this impressive group, further demonstrating your commitment to the advancement of women and gender equality. It is a privilege to honor you today with the Aiming High Award. Congratulations for this well-deserved honor.
Wow, I am super humbled, but I'm also conscious that I'm the thing standing between you and sort of the exit. So I promise to keep it brief. Thank you so much from the depths of my heart for this really extraordinary honor. Standing before you today to accept this recognition, it's really a moment that fills me with immense gratitude, humility, and frankly, a profound sense of responsibility. First, I'd really like to extend my deepest appreciation to Legal Momentum for their unwavering commitment to advancing justice and equality. It's an organization that stands as a beacon in the pursuit of a more inclusive and equitable society. I'm also in awe of the fellow honorees and relate to so much of the remarks that you shared today. Whitney, Pilar, Tim, and of course, Muriel. You are amazing, and it is humbling to share the stage with you. Of course, I'd also like to thank Rabia for the kind words and introduction. And as you can see from her presence, it's very clear why she equally was worthy of the recognition by this organization a few years ago. When I was thinking about remarks that I would share today, I really was struck with a sense of thinking about the foundation and the path that led me to this moment. And I'm reminded of so many things. First, my journey in the legal profession and career certainly has not been a solitary one. I've been supported by my family and countless mentors and supporters. My family immigrated to Panama from Jamaica, like so many during the construction of the Panama Canal. And as a result, I like to think sometimes that my family has always been part of laying foundations that help make this country great, though their education and backgrounds were not always a reflection of this. I was very thoughtful of thinking about my grandmother, who just turned 101 years old, who came to this country many, many years ago. I thought about my father, who spent 20 years in the military and helped pave the path to citizenship for myself and my family. I thought about my mother, who pursued a career in nursing despite the fact that it took her almost 10 years to obtain the degree, as her education was often disrupted by having to relocate to different military bases or raise 3 girls. It's all served as a source of strength and inspiration. I was always encouraged to have a strong faith base, work hard, and believe in myself and drive progress. And all of this poured into a kid who, let's get real, like any good immigrant family, really had a choice between law school and med school. But I was a kid who loved to argue, and of course I chose the law. Side note, I'm here with my kids today, and I often see that reflected, so now I can see how my parents felt about that. More about that later. But the foundation established by my family led me to become the first lawyer in my family. But I wasn't the last. Both my sisters are attorneys as well. And in fact, my youngest sister here, Joy, is here today with her husband, Jared. And I often like to say that we save the best for last because she is the best lawyer among us. I'm incredibly grateful for all that I learned in law school and the discipline of the legal profession. It added to the foundation upon which I now stand. And the work and sacrifices of my family fuels my determination to contribute to a legal system that continues to dismantle barriers and ensure justice for all. The foundation of who I am was also shaped by the many mentors and colleagues and friends who've supported my journey, and I'm so grateful for their support. This award is not just a reflection of my efforts, but a collective recognition of the collaborative spirit that drives diversity, equity, and inclusion. As I prepared remarks today, I thought about Jennifer Kennedy, who was the first partner that I worked for at Lock Lord. I thought about Guy Ransville, who was the former general counsel at Visa, who, because of his focus and commitment to ensuring diversity across his legal portfolio, made sure that there was diverse counsel representative on the Visa cases. And of course, Kelly Toulier, who I know who could not be here today, but if you know Kelly, she's a force. She's an incredible inspiration to me, a wonderful mentor and friend. And I'm so grateful for all the opportunities that she provided to me. All of my many friends and colleagues who are in this room today, whether or not it be at Visa, my BNY folks, my Lock Lord folks, I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for being wonderful colleagues, wonderful teachers, friends, and supporters. Finally, I would like to thank my husband and my kids who are with me today. My husband has been incredibly supportive, following my journey from working and living in San Francisco to Chicago to New York, always supporting and encouraging me to pursue my dreams. He took time away from his work as a scientist to be dedicated to our family. In fact, when we had our kids, we layered our leaves, like many couples do, so that we could be there for our children. And I remember when I went back to work, I had lots of support and resources. It was sort of expected that the mom would be away. And when he returned, those resources weren't there. He didn't have access to many of the coaching and mentoring programs as I did. And I remember I was so inspired by him and his commitment that I've always been very passionate around ensuring paternity leave and returnship and opportunities for the dads who do it every day to support their families and their kids. He's truly amazing. Thank you. He is truly amazing, and in fact, as a level of his dedication and support, today is actually his birthday, and he's here. Happy birthday, Anthony. Thank you. And of course, I'd like to thank my kids, Anderson, who's 11, and my twin girls, Avery and Addison. You are the best of me. Your creativity and intelligence, and even the challenging force that demonstrates you two may have a career in the law, motivates and inspires me to build a world that is better for you, whereas brown girls and boys, your dreams are no longer limited or reflected through the lens of being the first, but simply carrying forward the full destiny of your potential. And I, of course, thank you for keeping me humble with one mom to remind me when I'm being annoying in my praise, or better, bruh. It's a lot what I hear from my son today. Nobody prepares you for the journey from mommy to bruh. Thank you for being the bedrock of my strength. Your love and encouragement have been the guiding force that propelled me forward, even in the face of challenges. My passion and work in championing diversity is not just about representation. It's about acknowledging the richness that comes from embracing different perspectives, experiences, and backgrounds. It's about driving equity as a systemic issue, because systemic issues require systemic solutions to dismantle barriers and ensure that every individual, regardless of their background, has equal access to opportunity and resources. And finally, inclusion is about fostering environments where every voice is not only heard, but valued. It's about cultivating a sense of belonging and ensuring that everyone feels empowered to contribute their unique perspective without fear of prejudice or bias. In closing, I'd like to again express my deepest gratitude to Legal Momentum, my family, my colleagues, all of you who've joined us today. Thank you so much for being part of the journey and allowing us to continue to aim high.
All right, we're almost done here, but before we let you go, let's give another round of applause to our accomplished honorees, Muriel, Whitney, Tim, Pilar, and Jolen. And of course, thank you all for coming and for your generous support. Carol mentioned it earlier, but if you have a donation card, please be sure to give it to one of the Legal Momentum staffers. We're all milling around. Or leave it in the basket located on the table near the exit. You can also go, to technology and make a donation by texting the word women to 243-725. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you again next year.